Yo, Wagwan. Welcome to the Move to Jamaica YouTube channel. This is our first YouTube video. We are going to do a video reaction on Life According to Bob, why Jamaica sucks, and what we can learn from Bob's experience. This is not an attack on Bob. I just want to make that clear. As a Jamaican, I have to admit, most of what he said, or maybe all of it, are true. And there are ways to work around this. Like, how is it that you lived in Jamaica for 22 odd years and then all of a sudden you hate it bad? In the same way, a lot of Jamaicans move to the States, Canada, or the UK or elsewhere, love it so much. And by maybe 5, 10, many decades later, they come back with a bitter taste in their mouth. But anyways, this won't be a deep review, but there are some points I wanted to share and what we can learn from it and understand why exactly how a person who loved Jamaica so deeply decide to hate it so much. To each their own, and we have to respect that. So Bob was saying there were a few positive experiences, I guess, like with the music, the culture, the land of Jamaica itself. But he was saying the negatives outweigh the positives. And he mentioned that a lot of Jamaicans are bad mind. If he can say that, how on earth, like, can you be there for 22 years? Like, how do you survive that? So you would have to watch Bob's video in its entirety to like get his perspective. So let's get right into it. So Bob loved the music. He went to concerts, right? He went to like Reggae Sunsplash when it used to exist, or Reggae Sunfest, met up with some like popular artists behind stage. And he seemed to have a good time. He showed himself like on a video of him being at one of the popular like reggae shows, him clapping. So you was having a good time there for sure. And then he went on to say that he hated like, you know, the noise speakers, the music speakers in cars. He just never liked that. But when you're in Jamaica, you always hear music playing in the background. That's just a part of our culture. But yes, everyone has a right to peace. But when you're in Jamaica, you have to expect that, especially if you live like in certain communities, right? And he was saying that while in Jamaica, he has to be on the constant lookouts, for his safety. When I'm in San Francisco or Seattle or any other major cities in the States and even in Canada, I have to be on the lookout too, man, because things always happen. And he talked about, I believe it was like British tourists, losing their items, losing their money, they misplaced a purse under some table. And that can happen anywhere. And he mentioned the jungle justice mentality. Yes, I'm afraid that's true in many rural communities in Jamaica. And he spoke about the driving issues in Jamaica. We can't dispute that, but like there are driving issues here in Canada as well, especially in the big cities. And I have to admit it, especially from drivers that are from like third world countries from overseas. It takes one to know one. So I personally understand that. And he talks about, how he finds it frustrating when if there's a big accident in Jamaica, people will steal things from the car, which is true sometimes, especially from bigger vehicles. But his pet peeve was that people will film with their phones and put it on social media. They do the same thing in the States as well if there's a major incident. And someone asked him in the comment section, no, I won't get to that part yet, but he was talking about how Philippines is safer, roads are smoother. I haven't been, But I can tell you in Canada, there's a reason why the Filipinos make up some of the most minorities in Canada, and I guess in the States as well, because life in the Philippines, it's difficult. But then you were just saying how Philippines is a lot safer, roads are better, and a few other positive things. So my question is to Bob is why, like, you have a US passport, you can go just about anywhere, and in case if you guys don't know, in America you can access like other island territories. Like, why didn't Bob try the US Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, American Samoa, Hawaii, places that have Jamaican, like beaches and stuff like that? Could it be that people there, because those places have the American amenities, could it be that this is just my guess, they wouldn't worship him like in Jamaica? But obviously, even those American places, territories like Puerto Rico and US Virgin Islands, they also have similar issues too. So I know, like in Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, I think, well, most of US Virgin Islands, the lights go off a lot and it costs a lot there to live. And a lot of American expats do move to those places. But anyway, that's besides the point. Someone asked him, like, in the comment section of his video, why it took you so long. And he mentioned along the lines, like a divorce, takes, I don't know, something like 20 years and then you get perspective. So that's a key issue we can learn from Bob is when you move to Jamaica or anywhere in the world, but especially in Jamaica, let Bob's life lesson, like I said, I'm not disputing most of them, but there's a lot we can learn. So to me, it seems like Bob was very passive about many of his issues in Jamaica. Like in one of his videos, you need to go and watch it. He spoke about he lived somewhere for, I think it was during his entire time in Jamaica, and there were issues with the towels in his room and in the bathroom, all the issues as well. And he would always ask his landlord to fix things, but things just never get done. Bob sat on it for the several years he was in Jamaica, probably the 2 decades while he was there. You'll have to go on his channel and find that video. I don't quite remember. And so that's what got my attention. Like, why would he stay in that place for so long and like put up with it? Like, you can always move up, Bob. You mentioned that you had money in your account. Find somewhere. So big life lesson when you're moving to Jamaica, like Jamaicans, it's just the culture, it's just the vibe there. Sometimes the system, certain people can get under your skin, and you have to learn how to be very assertive. Like, I've worked in law enforcement, I've worked in the field of addictions and mental health, and the last thing you want to do is be very passive with people. No, you got to be very assertive. You got to have some like self awareness and acceptance. You got to accept that, look, when you move into a third world country, or even if it's a first world country, it's not going to be the same where you're coming from. People are going to do things differently, whether it's right or wrong. It might get to you, it might annoy you, but if you're choosing to stay in these places, you got to know like how to work through that. If you're constantly not aware of what's happening around you or how things are affecting you, yeah, you're going to like have a big reaction. You're going to have a very bad emotional experience. it sounds like Bob was really having the time of his life in Jamaica without working through the little, I don't know, the little things that got to him. I'm not 100% sure, but he conveyed that he got a divorce. He was married for like 20 years. And when you go through a major life change like that, your perspective on everything can change. Did you see that he mentioned that he collected all these Jamaican caps, all these Jamaican souvenirs, and he kept them in some dark closets after his whole experience, and he doesn't like them anymore. So my question is, if you left Jamaica on that note, why did you bring those clothes with you? Why didn't you just give them away or even sell them on eBay or something? So, like I said, I'm not here to dispute his experiences, but there are many parts in Jamaica, and if you move to like uptown Kingston, Jamaica, it's not perfect, but a lot of those experiences you can avoid. And like in one of Bob's video, as I said before, when the landlord's not even meeting you halfway, like don't make yourself suffer in silence for so long. Bob, you could have moved on. You even said that you're very good with carpentry. You're good at building furniture, man. I think you could have been a lot more resourceful with your living situation from that audio video that you spoke about. I'll try put that audio video link on this channel as well. So, anyways, Bob, big up yourself. I really hope you find healing. You know, even though you said that the negatives outweigh the positives in Jamaica, I'm sure if you were there for that long, I'm really sure that you had more positive than you can imagine. But at the same time, you're just still dealing with whatever issues you're going through. So if you do move to Jamaica, you gotta have like some thick skin. You gotta learn how to grind. You gotta learn how to hustle, deal with mentalities. And Bob did mention that people are after your wallet. That is true to an extent. Jamaica, they gotta hustle, man. They gotta hustle. And I hate to say it, when you present yourself as this foreigner and stuff like that, Jamaica see dollars, dollars and cents on you. And that's not always a good thing. But if you're going to be there for that long, just learn how to work with it. And like I said, this is not everywhere in Jamaica. And, so I just want to finish off with you can't be passive if little things are getting to you. You got to learn how to work through it. And you got to have some self-awareness, man, that look, have a reality check. Is this a place where I want to be? And if it's a place where I want to be, how do I accept that and get through it? Anyways, big up yourself. If you find this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe.